The growing number of COVID-19 cases in Italy has pushed the government to take drastic measures. All schools and universities nationwide will be shut down from tomorrow and remain closed until at least March the 15th. Italy has become the epicenter of the coronavirus outbreak in Europe, with more than 3,000 confirmed cases. The death toll from the COVID-19 respiratory disease has jumped from 79 deaths to at least 107 in the country. Well, let's cross straight over to Rome, where we can speak to our correspondent, Giorgia Orlandi. Giorgia, these moves are unprecedented in terms of what's happening now to educational establishments. What more can you tell us about these government plans?
Well, hi, Oliver. Well, Italy's education minister has said that this was not an easy decision to take. Prime Minister Conte, who also attended that press conference, has explained that the decision is based on the findings of a scientific committee, the same committee that has also suggested that all sporting events should be suspended for at least 1 month. Now, up until today, only schools in the most affected regions were supposed to remain closed until the 8th of March. So why this drastic measure now? Well, first of all, because schools provided the ideal environment for the spread of the virus. Also, experts say that young people are considered asymptomatic carriers in most cases, meaning that the virus can spread more easily. Also, authorities want to contain the spread of the virus in southern Italy. This is the part of the country that has been less hit by the outbreak, and also they want to contain the spread of the virus so that there are less patients admitted in intensive care, and that means that hospitals won't be overwhelmed.
And George, that has a huge effect on parents. Some of them will have to take time off work to now care for their children. We're hearing today in places like the United Kingdom and in France, the government bringing forward proposals to ensure that people who are off sick, either with COVID-19 or taking care of people, are given money from the state in order not to transmit to other people. Is there similar moves like that in Italy?
Well, this is a measure that the government is looking into. In fact, Matteo Salvini, the leader of the League Party, has said that now the government will have to offer financial help to those families where, for example, parents have to go to work and they cannot take care of their children. Now, this is obviously an ongoing situation, and things might evolve in the next few days with regards to what the government will do about parents and families who will have to deal with this situation.
And Georgia, you've been out and about speaking to businesses, to people. Italy's been hit by cancellations of flights. Tourists aren't coming anymore. What is it that people are saying to you when you're out and about speaking to them?
Well, the mood here in Rome, well, generally speaking, people are more relaxed, if you want, compared to what has been happening in the Lombardy region and Milan. Of course, if you think of Milan as Italy's financial capital. But here in the tourism sector, people certainly don't feel great about what has been happening. As we know, there are a few countries outside the EU that are imposing restrictions on travels to and from Italy, including several airline companies that are doing the same.
Giorgia Orlandi joining us there from Italy's capital, Rome. Thank you so much for bringing us up to speed. Now, while Italy may be the epicenter of this outbreak in Europe, it's not the only country taking extraordinary steps to contain the spread of COVID-19. Across the continent, essential services such as medical care and education are feeling the impact, as Neil O'Reilly reports.
Drastic measures in desperate times. School closures have become a fact of life in European countries worst affected by the coronavirus outbreak. As the disease spreads, so too does the impact on everyday living. It's a steep learning curve. These students of a closed school in France are continuing their lessons online, technology providing a solution, if not an ideal one. Teachers here have taken their lead from others abroad.
We're having to adapt. We rely on the experience of some foreign high schools, like in Hong Kong, to see how they manage to work remotely with students.
Crisis measures too in Europe's health services. With vital medical equipment in short supply, German officials have announced an export ban on essential items.
Governments, hospitals and individuals worldwide are buying protective clothing in stock. At the same time, production in China has come to a partial standstill. That's why there are shortages in Germany. So as of today, there is an export restriction for protective clothing.
Across Europe, countries are preparing extra hospital beds and quarantine facilities. The battle to contain the virus is not yet lost, but authorities are warning people things are likely to get worse in the coming days and weeks. Neil O'Reilly, Euronews.
Students aren't the only ones who are being asked to stay at home because of the outbreak. Companies with travelling employees are scaling back all business-related travel. That lull has created a pushback and for the struggling UK airline Flybe, now potentially on the brink of collapse. They aren't the only travel company feeling the sting, as Jeremy East reports.
Major companies and institutions are trying to keep their employees healthy by banning business trips. The European Central Bank is the latest addition to a growing list of institutions and companies that are restricting all non-essential business travel. Goldman Sachs, UniCredit, Nestle, L'Oreal, Unilever, and Google's Europe headquarters have all told hundreds of thousands of their employees to either hold or limit their domestic and international travel. These restrictions have dealt a gut punch to a travel industry already reeling from the virus outbreak.
I think so. I think there will be more failures in the next week or two. If you take that most of the airlines today are reporting bookings declining, by up to 20-25%.
Some airlines and hotels have responded by adjusting their usual cancellation fees. Most major airlines, including Delta, Emirates, Lufthansa, United, and American, have suspended flights to mainland China through the end of April. The airlines will refund money for canceled flights, waive change fees for one-time itinerary changes, or let customers use the value of the ticket towards future travel. Big hotel chains are also waiving cancellation fees for some guests, and many are bracing for what promises to be a slow holiday season as the virus continues to spread.
Well, now the European Commission is working with some of the world's biggest tech companies to try and stop the flow of misinformation online. Matt in our social media news desk, theCUBE, has more.
As the number of confirmed cases of COVID-19 increases across Europe, well, so too does the threat of misinformation. That's according to the European Union, who say they are working together with social media companies to ensure that citizens across the continent have the facts at their fingertips. We've already heard this year about how the World Health Organization say that the world is facing a coronavirus infodemic, with a lot of fake news being spread out there, intentionally or not, about not only how the virus spreads, but also about how it originates. Well, today, a number of social media platforms have been taking increased action on this. Twitter, for example, saying that they are going to be increasing the amplification that they give to authoritative health messages across a number of countries to ensure that correct information is given. Now, this is all being done under the watch of the European Union, and this week, their Deputy Commissioner for Rights and for Transparency, Vera Jourova, meeting with a number of representatives from the likes of Microsoft, Google and Facebook to make sure that they are addressing any harmful content that could be out there about the coronavirus. Now, earlier I spoke to a spokesperson from the European Commission who told us more about the sort of fake news that they're seeing.
So what we see is hoaxes about cures, for example, what you could do to combat corona. All of this is false. It's very, very dangerous what you can read there. Other things are like lies about China, which is also maybe not as dangerous for us, but still fake and still important to combat. But you also have other things like about the spread as such. We have had disinformation claiming that there were like thousands, tens of thousands of cases, for example, in Germany, which is nuts. So all of this is very important to follow closely and to keep an eye on. But this is something which of course we follow closely, but also the platforms have to do that themselves.
So you heard that the emphasis from the European Commission is on the platforms to try and clean their own content and try and prevent misinformation from spreading. But what exactly does that look like in practice? Well, for example, if I was to go onto Instagram and try and find out information about coronavirus using the hashtag, this is the message that would come up on my screen. Very clear, sending me, in this case in France, to the French government website for advice on exactly what the spread is about. What if I went onto, for example, Pinterest, I wanted to find out information about a coronavirus cure? Well, again, you're presented with stickers from the World Health Organization about the sort of debunking mythbusters that they have put out to try and help it. And finally, again, on TikTok, you heard there from the European Commission about potential information that could be spreading about China. Well, again, coronavirus China, at the top of the page, you can't miss it, a big dashboard there telling you how you can prevent coronavirus. This is the sort of action that social media companies are taking, and it goes well beyond just preventing it. We've also heard from the Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg today about how he is going to be giving free advertisements to the World Health Organization as they try and amplify the message. And one other thing that the European Commission has been employing is their rapid alert system. Now, the name itself might be quite confusing, but essentially it means that the European Commission is pooling resources from all 27 member states to ensure that they have the best experts and the best information available. And Ollie, when I spoke to them and asked if the European Commission thought they were perhaps late to the party when it came to addressing coronavirus, they said that they were still working hard and as hard as they could with platforms to try and prevent the spread of fake news.